Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Danbury. If you haven't already, please put your phones on mute. My name is Carl Tischler. I have been a member of this congregation since 2001, which didn't seem that long ago in terms of the UU, but it is a long time. I've been active in the congregation in many ways, and in being with the board for several years, and with the most recently with the finance committee as chair, and also as one of the people who are musicians who contribute to the congregation, which is wonderful for me, and I think everyone who does contribute. The Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Danbury has been gathering together for 200 years as we work to build a more just world, and we respectfully acknowledge that our physical building is on the traditional land of the Progressive people. I'm glad that so many of you are able to join us this morning, both in person and online. Everyone here is an essential part of our celebration today. Whether it's your first or your 1000th Sunday, we are stronger here because you are with us. If you're new to our community and joining us online, please, if you are willing and able, introduce yourself. Tell us where you're coming from in the chat box. At the conclusion of today's service, there'll be a chance to participate in a breakout group for individual connections and deeper check-ins. If you are new and here in person, please fill out a visitor card at the table near the exit so we can keep in touch with you. We are one people, many beliefs, many origins, sexualities, and genders. We are here all growing, all learning, and all loved. Just as you are welcome here. And I wanted to just briefly call attention to a couple of announcements. They're in the order of service. One is the Social Action Night in Richfield on Wednesday, August 3rd at 7 p.m. And also, just wanted to, on a personal note, my wife, Suzanne Perry, leads the ARC Peace Camp, which is happening next week. They'll be meeting here 2 times and also at other religious organizations throughout the greater Danbury area. So again, welcome to the UU Congregation of Danbury.
Good morning. My name is Rick Cousins. I am the Sunday Service Coordinator for today. It is Reverend Kathleen, our settled minister, will be here next week. And today it is a very happy occasion to have a longtime member, Marcia Brooker, present the service. Please, let's take a moment to greet one another and to greet those online by waving at the camera in the back. Please greet your neighbor and greet each other in the chat box if you are dialing in from a Zoom session. We are experiencing technical difficulties. Please stand by.
Can you do this without hers? I bet you can. Can you address it?
There are. She says that there are no words. So please clap. please join me in reading the chalice lighting affirmation. Love is the spirit of this congregation, and justice is its light. This is our power, to dwell together in peace, to seek and speak the truth in love, to help one another, and celebrate God. Bless our imperfections. Please join me in performing our, our children's affirmation. We are Unitarian Universalists. We are people with open minds, loving hearts, and helping hands for the earth and each other.
Come unto me, sing our rise in the shame of justice. Rose because we set me free. Spirit of life, good morning. Good morning, everybody. As Rick told you, I am Marcia Brooker, and I'm going to tell you a story. It's one of my favorite stories. The book is up here. It's called Two Old Women. There were two old women, and this is an Inuit tale. We don't know if it happened or not, but probably it did at one time or another. There were two old women who were left behind by the troop, by the camp when they had to leave, because old people very often did not carry their weight as far as, keeping the crops and tanning the hides and whatever. So they were left behind. And the thing that was funny is that these two ladies didn't really like each other very much. They were both old. They both thought they were the smartest things going. So they were kind of like this. But then the winter came, and it was very cold. And even though they had skins to wrap in and everything, they were still cold. And then one of them said, well, we could get together and share both of the skins. So they got back to back and shared the skins because they still didn't like each other very much. Then they started to really be hungry, and they thought, what are we going to do? Well, there are a few squirrels around. So one of them fixed this little trap that she could get that would, snare them. And she caught a squirrel, and they boiled it, and they made broth, and they drank the broth, and it helped them to feel stronger. So they started to live this way, and all of a sudden they started to realize that together stronger, they're much stronger than being separate and alone. So that the winter passes. They have skins, they have food, they dry fish, they do all kinds of things. Of course, they move around a little bit too to find all of these things. Well, about a year and a half later, the community comes back and they're tired and they're hungry and they're discouraged because the hunting has not been good for them. And they send a runner out, and when he goes to the camp, he sees smoke coming up and he thinks, oh my goodness, it can't be those women. So he goes and he peeks and he runs back and he reports that they have to go and see what happened. So the tribe drags themselves into the new camp, and here they see the two women, healthy and robust and full of life. They have stores of food, they have stores of meat, they have firewood stacked up, and they are doing great. Well, here they are, all of them hungry, all of them exhausted and tired. So the chief goes to see these two old women and says, you know, we're really hungry, and you have so much food here that you could really help us out. So the two women kind of look at each other and have a little tete-a-tete and decide, well, we'll give it to you once, but under one condition. Oh, that would be so wonderful. What is the condition? That you never leave older people behind again. Milestones? I have a milestone too that I want to do.
You want me first?
Yes.
Please.
We're gonna do milestones now, and I have a milestone that I am really, really thrilled about. A few weeks ago, or maybe a month and a half.
Sure, why not? We're going to see. It is now the time for our congregational offering. For those of you here visiting us for the first time, your presence is your gift to us. For those members, please feel free to send a check to 24 Clapboard Ridge Road, Danbury, Connecticut, addressed to UUCD, or if you have the barcode for Simple Give, please use that. Remember, just because we are not all here in our sacred space, our operating expenses do remain the same. So please do what you can. Thank you.
I haven't had an introduction like that in a long time. Thank you very much, Cheryl and Barbara. Before I begin, I'm going to take a little feeling for the room. And I think from just observing, I kind of know the answers, but we'll just have to see. But first, I'd like to read this poem to you. Within the circles of our lives, we dance the circles of the years, the circles of the seasons within the circles of the years, the cycles of the moon within the circles of the seasons, and the circles of our reasons within the cycle of our moon. Again and again, we come and go, changed, changing. Hands join and unjoin in love and fear, in grief and in joy. The circles turn, each giving into all. Only music keeps us here. Each by all the others held, in the hold of hands and eyes, we turn in pairs, that joining each to all again. And then we turn aside alone, but out of the sunlight gone, into the darker circles of return. How many people here are under the age of 35? We got one. Good. Thanks. This is including the audience. You can think about it, but you don't have to respond necessarily unless Rick wants to keep count. How many people are under 45? Between 45 and 55. Thank you. We have two. We're going up. That's good. How about anyone between 55 and 65? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Okay. How about 65 to 75? Okay. We got a few there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. How many of you are 75 to 90? Wow, am I speaking to the right audience today or not? I'll tell you. Oh, now, one of the things that I want to tell you is that this is my loving 80. This has nothing to do with any of you necessarily. Maybe your 80 is worse, but I do want to tell you that When I Am an Old Woman is a book of poetry written by, and little stories written by a lot of people. And When I Am an Old Woman, I Shall Wear Purple is probably where this title came from. And then there's a little doll down here. My friend made this for me, and it's called the Over the Hill doll. And what you do, there are little pins in the eyes, and there are little things written all over the doll. Acid reflux, arthritis, hearing loss, hemorrhoids, aching back, varicose veins. And what you're supposed to do, of course, you are being young, don't have some of these afflictions. Maybe some of you who are a little bit older are beginning to have some of these afflictions. But if you're having a particularly bad day with acid reflux, you take one of the little pins out and you put it right where acid reflux is. It's just kind of a funny thing. And a friend of mine made it for me, and she's older than I am. And I just thought I would share these things. If you want to come up and look at them, I think they're hysterical myself. Okay, loving 80. I do love being in my 80s and want you to know again that these are the things that I love about my 80s. You can agree or disagree with anything because you won't hurt my feelings. When I mentioned this title to a friend, she asked me right back, "So what is so good about them?" I shot back with these words or similar something. I like being independent. I can come and go as I want. I can eat when I want and what I want at any time that I want. I only have my own mess to clean up. I'm in good health, and I have enough money to live the simple life that I like. I have all that I need and want for little. I have a terrific family, and I have many friends. I love my car, and I don't have to compete with anyone to drive it. I'm lucky that I do not have too many aches and pains every day, but I do squint and need to get some new glasses. So for the next few minutes, I will share my thoughts in greater detail, but not necessarily about everything on this list. So I'm going to start with a recent story, a story that happened to me recently. Two of my grandsons share the same birthday. And I just found out that Mary Lou and her brother share the same birthday as these two sons on July 21st. Thank you, Mary Lou, and happy birthday. But they celebrate them, my two grandsons, 16 years apart. Recently, I was privileged to be with both of them for this celebration. We were joined by another grandson who was pushing 5 in October. The two younger boys really love this cousin. He is playful, and he's bigger, and he's stronger than they are. The three compared the size of their muscles, did cannonballs into the pool to see who could splash the biggest. They kicked the soccer ball around the yard, and they played on the floor with trucks and a new Paw Patrol activity box. The younger boys explaining that the paws are rescue dogs. And for those of you who don't know this, because I didn't, it's a cartoon, and there are these 5 dogs, and they've all got these names, and they all do this thing, and it's an absolute rage for like little kids. Everyone was excited about the pending celebration for the birthday, and Oliver was more aware that he was going to be 3 years old, but he had no idea how old his cousin was going to be. Nathan, out of a clear blue sky, during a conversation about the day's adventures ahead. Wait a minute, Oliver was more than aware that he was going to be 3 years old, but had no idea how old his cousin Nathan was going to be. And out of a clear blue sky, during a conversation about the day's adventures ahead, as a 3-year-old, Nathan, the elder, asked Oliver, the younger, "So, how old do you think I'm going to be today?" 11, said the 3-year-old. "Well, how old do you think Granny is?" asked Nathan. 26. She's old, but she could also be 25 cents. I love that children speak with such authority and such truth when they use numbers and new vocabulary words and have no idea what they mean. It's just so cute, but they're so serious. It would be safe to say that some of us have had a similar experience with children. Their concept of numbers and their own age. They know that they're 3, but they really have no idea what that means. After all, they can count to at least 20, and they don't know what any of those numbers mean either. They're just numbers. Just a number that they accept or guess at, paying little or no attention to its significance. It just rolls off their tongue as they continue to play. After all, I can be 80 because I am Granny. Someone whose appearance hasn't changed much during their short lives. I am sure it's that way with my older grandson, too. I am the granny I have always been. If the older grandson sees some indication of my aging, he doesn't mention it. I'm sure that he sees me going upstairs more slowly and pulling on the banister a little bit and not moving as fast as I used to. The younger children don't see any of that. To them, I am just Granny, the person that I love because she plays with me, she tells me stories and reads me books, and she makes great tacos. They take me as I am and only comment on something new that they may see about me, like my using a cane sometimes. They ask what it is, why do I have it, why do I need it, and if they can have a turn. Such acceptance, and they accept that I can no longer sit on the floor. Really, when I can, it's just embarrassing to try to get up. Much of American society denies aging. Madison Avenue celebrates young-looking, wrinkle-free skin and has just recently decided that having gray hair is a reality that is attractive. There are thousands of seniors who have a date with Clairol every few weeks. I used to color my hair too. It signaled the beginning of my midlife crisis as I became aware that I was going to be 50 and that I was entering the short side of 100. I began to notice crow's feet coming around my eyes, a wrinkle or two here and there, and subtle increases in the size of my knuckles because it was hard to get the rings on. And sometimes needing to massage my hands when they ached a bit. And let's not forget the old hot flashes too. Old age and retirement loomed in the distance. And you know what? The thought of it is almost punitive. Society and advertisements concentrate on all the things that are wrong with senior citizens and rarely affirm the things that they can accomplish. So, why do I love being 80 years old? Thankfully, I've gotten over all those midlife concerns. But when I look back on my life, I can recall the myriad of challenges and feelings that I experienced and realize what they have taught me. Even though I have been overwhelmed at times, I would not trade any of those experiences for anything. They help me realize what a strong and courageous person I am, and that solving a problem is necessary growth and learning. It took me many, many years to see the me that others often saw. I am me, and I am okay. Or this is for me, not against you. As I think of my successes, I can list my family, whom I dearly love and who love me right back. A great teaching career, my curiosity, studying new things, being both a working mother and a single parent. I did a really good job. And you know what? I really resent all of the negative things that they say about single mothers and working mothers, because we do, for the most part, one heck of a great job with our kids. I have learned to speak what I think and do not worry about any consequences. I don't worry anymore that somebody might not like what I say, or that maybe I'm not doing the things that they want me to do or that they think I should do. And I am really lucky that I have a very strong support system in my family and friends with whom I share on a regular basis. I find life to be fun as I enjoy socializing and entertaining, or just sitting on my patio sipping vodka. Just, simple things. My 3 siblings, we are all in our 80s, get together and reminisce about our childhood home and our neighborhood and things that we remember doing or experiencing. Sometimes we offer advice, other times we just mind our own business, but we care for and about each other and count the blessings that we are all still here. I have friends who have walked with me on my journey. They have listening ears and wise words. We are mutually supportive and respect each other's take on life. We laugh at ourselves and at each other. We have fun together and are always available to each other if we are ever needed. Since my divorce, I have chosen to live alone in a great place in Southbury that offers me many people as role models. They offer many opportunities to try new things and to meet new people. I had one such opportunity 3 years ago when I trained and I learned how to use professional TV cameras and learned how to produce TV shows. Heritage Village has its own in-house TV, so guess what keeps me busy? I do regular programming there. I produce a cooking show that another woman hosts and does all the work for. And I interview many talented people who live in the village to find out what they're all about or what they've accomplished. It's called Discovery, and I've done that for almost 4 years or 3 years. I took the course after I started doing this. I also found out that I really like to act and be on the stage, so I've joined a theater guild. And I found out that I really like doing comedy roles. My first role was as Edith Bunker. I like to try new things and go to places that I visited before, because when I'm there, I see them with new eyes. I share some of these experiences with many friends. I can also say no to an offer to attend a Mahler concert. And I can accept a friend's no and not take it personally. Health-wise, I'm in good health. I have great medical practitioners who help me stay healthy and understand what is going on with me. They see to it that I get immunized and tested when I need to be. They often break their 20-minute office visit rule so that my questions and concerns can be addressed. I drive the speed limit most of the time, and incentive offered by my insurance company to get a lower rate. What I have found is that I still get to my destination in about the same amount of time as if I put the pedal to the metal. I also dig for exact change sometimes when I'm in the supermarket, even if there's a line behind me, because I have to get rid of the weight of all those quarters and dimes in my wallet that make my pocketbook feel so heavy. Yes, I'm one of those old fogies that people get behind and can't wonder why. Why are you on the highway only going 65 when the cars fly by? A wise checker in a local supermarket told me once, as I was waiting behind an old woman to find the 37 cents in her change purse, I've learned to be patient, as I will be old someday too. What goes around comes around. I yearned for the independence to do things when I was younger. Not until my divorce did that stored up energy explode and finally set me free to be myself. I refused to ever put myself in the position of losing my independence. At first, my independence was more like a defiance against things that were drilled into me as a young person. I was once described as a bulldozer. And sometimes I didn't realize how crude I was really being. With practice and acceptance, greater comfort, I lost that edge and the anger connected with it. I learned that anger gets me no place. As a first-time visitor to this congregation many years ago, I witnessed people doing good things. It was the first day of ingathering when everybody comes back together in the summer. And it was over at the barn. People were dressed in shorts. Kids were running all over the place. But people liked each other and they were talking to each other. And the minister was talking to people. And it was like biting into, a truffle. It was like love at first bite. I was affirmed and I was actually welcomed, and nobody knew who I was, because it is the first time I had ever seen a religious community behave like that. I was allowed to be who I needed to be. I have dear friends whom I have met here, and I am very grateful for them. And you know what? I pamper myself too. I have my nails done. I get a massage on a regular basis just because it feels good. I put blue color in my hair because it's fun. Sometimes I stay in bed way past the time that the alarm rings for no reason at all, except that I can do it. All of these pampers are part of my taking my care of myself regimen. So how do I stack up with peers? And I know I have some peers here this morning. Since I socialize with people like myself, that is really hard to determine sometimes. But I did find something that affirms some of the things I feel about being 80 years old. In March of this year, AARP, we mentioned it earlier in a conversation here, partnered with National Geographic in an aging study called the Second Half of Life Study. The study involved 2,500 adults 18 and over across a full range of demographics and ethnicities. Participants were asked about their lives and their hopes concerning the issues of aging, health, finance, happiness, home, optimism, and dying. Results showed that most of the prevalent opinions and stereotypes of aging and being old were proven wrong. Overall, the message about aging and being in the 70s and 80s and 90s and above was positive and reassuring from being what younger generations think might be true. Respondents were optimistic and did not see aging as a bad thing. AARP's public safety officer described 70 and 80-year-olds as being uplifting examples of resilience and realistic about change that is happening today or might more likely to happen in the future. The medical establishment needs to redefine what good health is, according to the respondents. To survey participants, good health means being independent, mobile, having a strong mind while being treated for any disease, heart disease, diabetes, cancer even. The approach to declining health brings a personal approval of the quality of life decisions. Respondents wish for longevity and a good quality of life. They wish that the medical community would be more accommodating and respectful of their end-of-life choices and decisions. Most respondents want to remain in their own homes rather than to go to live with family or to go to some kind of a facility. Ideally, they want forever homes, those which serve many generations. Older people are often models of healthy living too, that younger generations should emulate. This was all in the study also. A daily exercise regimen, making healthier food choices, and using healthier preparation methods. A lot of my friends have bought these air fryers and they think they're the best things, since sliced bread, because they can have French fries and they don't have to put them in oil. They engage in strength training equal to the muscle strength needed for their own mobility and independence. And I don't think this is going to be any surprise to anyone here that loss of mobility and mental decline are the two things that are worried about most by people once they hit this age bracket. Far more than life-threatening, but less symptomatic issues like heart disease and all of the things that could go wrong. Despite a better understanding of financial issues, up to 15% of retirees 60 and over have part-time jobs. 2 out of 3 adults 80 and older say they are living their best possible life, compared with 1 in 5 younger adults. Psychologist Dr. Louise Aronson, professor of geriatrics at USC San Francisco, says this shift is driven by people who psychologically notice and prioritize the positive and let go of the negatives as they age. As I read this article on the second half of my life, I found myself nodding in agreement at some of the things and creating a kind of checklist in my head to compare myself to all these old people that were participating in this study. And I found myself agreeing with a lot of the things. I must confess, though, that there are times when I cannot get my head and my mind to remember that it now takes me longer to do some things. My head and mind get confused and telling me that I'm feeling the energy of a 50-year-old, and the schedule that is already loaded gets filled in with more things. And sometimes right in the middle of a very busy day, when I have just one more thing to do, the reality sets in. I find myself a bit tired, wishing that I did not make this commitment to that next thing. I get sidetracked with a heaviness in my eyes that are signaling the need for a power nap. I can usually overcome the nap with a cold drink that contains some caffeine. That 50s feeling again. One observation that I have made as I thought about the 80-year-olds and the 80-year-olds that I know, especially those who live alone, is that we love to talk. And some of us give unsolicited advice. Here is some of my advice that I offer to everyone of all ages. May I suggest that you read the funny papers every day and that you look at funny birthday cards in Walgreens, even if you have no intention of buying them, to laugh. The post office has some of the funniest cards I have ever seen on all things, birthdays, anniversaries, missing you, and ever. Stay away from toxic people because they only pull you down. They complain all the time about everything, and nothing in their life is very good. Along with eating well and being well nourished, splurge once in a while on that hot fudge sundae or that piece of pie that you want at 5 o'clock in the afternoon before dinner. Chips and guacamole and a margarita make up a good dinner too. After all, there's no one to tell you that you are going to spoil your supper. Pardon me? Take each day as it comes and trust the universe to never give you more than you can handle. And you know what? Celebrate little things. Listen to upbeat music and dance. I wanted to dance when Cheryl and Barbara were playing the piano before because it was like so peppy. Put errand-related things by the door so that you either have to trip over them or step on them, so that you can remember to pick them up and take your to-do list with you. It helps you to remember why you're going out in the first place sometimes. And I'm going to suggest that you laugh at yourself. When you get up in the morning and you look at yourself in the mirror, make a face at yourself. I don't know about you, but I look like a cockatoo with my hair up in the air and all kinds of things. And sometimes I avoid looking, but I try to do it every day. Only do things you want to do. Take your meds. Choose people who like to have fun. Say good morning to yourself when you get up. Get a mani, pedi, and a haircut all in the same day. And love yourself. Remember to breathe deeply. A good day begins with being upright and mobile, especially when you're 80. What do we do there? Among all my yellow papers, I do have a little order of service here. Okay, I want to read one more poem that I have. This is called Old Women. I think I didn't read this already, did I? See? Old women wrap scarves around their necks to hide their wrinkles and flatter their bosoms with bold beads and brooches. In dresses buttered with flowers, in voices high as baby's breath, how they bloom in the corner of the cafeteria, billowing over pictures of grandchildren being passed around and around like hors d'oeuvres. Like jewels they plant on each hand to occupy the spaces that once held and warmed hands by husbands or lovers. Now twined around each other, arm in arm down the sidewalk, defying the dark grave with their colors and their perfume. Old women, tending time more fragile than youth, like poinsettias in the snow.
Thank you, Marcia. At this point in our service, it is now time to extinguish the challenge. If you would please read with me the words that you see on the screen. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts and out into the world until we are together again.
Okay, we're going to try this celebration, which is going to come up here. And if you want to dance, please do it. Let there be a dance.
Let it be a dance with you. May I have this dance with you through the good times and the bad times too. Let it be a dance. Let the dancing song be heard. Play the music, say the word, and fill the sky with sailing birds. Let it be a dance, be a dance. Let it be a dance. Learn to follow, learn to lead. Feel the rhythm, feel the beat. To reap the harvest, plant the seed. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. May I have this dance through the good times and the bad times too. Let it be a dance. Everybody turn and spin. Let your body learn to bend. And like a willow with the wind, let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. A child is born. Live for joy, a time to cry. Take it as it passes by. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance with you. May I have this dance with you through the good times and the bad times too. Let it be a dance. Morning star comes out the dark, there is no light. If nothing's wrong, then nothing's right. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. Let the sunshine let it rain. Share the laughter, babe. And round we go again. Let it be a dance.
I'm not so sure that I would have gone with to that song, but people did, so I guess it worked. I'd like to thank all of the people who are working behind the scenes, the pianists, Rick for getting this all together, and for Reverend Kathleen and the Sunday Services Committee for inviting me to do this. I would just like to close with a quote from Eleanor Roosevelt, which I think I can find. It's here someplace among all of my papers. Beautiful young people are accidents of nature, but beautiful old people are works of art. And let's listen to Cheryl and Barbara again.